Hello there, my name is Bruce from Brankus Creations. Welcome everyone, and I hope the sound is okay. Please let me know if the sound is alright. I did a firmware update on my little microphone, and so I just want to check and see that everything is still good with it, whether it's too quiet, too loud, clipping, whatever the case may be. Quick little hello to people who are here. Well, there's a bunch of people. Apples Anonymous is here. The Tech Doc. Patrick Pitts, Starbuck Tech, OA, Jay, Dave's here, DJ Craze, Trina is here. Did I do? Yeah, I already did Starbuck Tech, didn't I? Yep. Jeff Barnard, Adam McGee, Gut Bomb, K-Mac, Steve is here, Mac84. Inkscrew, hello. Joe's here, hello, Joe. And Charlie is here. And I think that Enzo Fitzhume, Kai is here, hello, Kai. Long time no speak. Eric's here as well, hello, Eric. Long time no speak to you as well. Mystery Margot, David Starbuck, Rob T. I think I'm getting everyone here. If I've missed anyone, please let me know. 55 Weird Harold. And yeah, if I missed anyone there, please jump on and say hello. If there are any first-time viewers, just jump on and say hello. I have picked up quite a lot of subscribers over the last few days, over the last week or something like that. So if someone is watching this, just a quick little explanation. This is one of the other things that I do on my channel. I do have some pre-recorded videos, but I also do these live streams. And generally in these live streams, I try and fix vintage Macintosh computers or whatever else anyone sends me. I've got a PC laptop up there which someone gave me, which I really don't want. I like working on them about as much as I like working on power supplies. So yes, had a chat with Kai and Eric earlier tonight. We have the Tinker Different online forum. If you don't know about it, you should check it out, tinkerdifferent.com. It is a fantastic online forum with lots and lots of clever people regularly frequenting it and coming up with awesome ideas and brilliant creations and all that sort of stuff. So jump on there, and also great technical support if needed too. If you're having problems with something, you can generally jump on there and ask questions, and there are some amazingly smart people in there. And anyhow, I think at this stage I still am the president of the Tinker Different board, and we were having a Tinker Different board meeting because we are going to have a new board. So yeah, won't that be exciting? Some new faces in there, but all those announcements will be made later on in due course. Cactite, hello. Finally, I can see a live show subbed a bit ago from your soldering tutorials. Awesome. Love the vids, including your ultrasonic cleaner videos. Well, thank you very much. As I actually just released an ultrasonic cleaner video, it's not even a week ago now, a few days ago. And that's doing quite well at the moment in terms of the YouTube views. The cleaner is there. I haven't actually installed it into the laundry yet. It's just out there. I'm going to do a few, record me cleaning a few things on it. I've already used it to clean some interesting things. I used it to clean a frying pan. I had a frying pan with a bit of caked on gunk on it and chucked it in there and let it work its wonder on that. So yeah, it's good. It's good. I'm very, very happy with it. So I should probably have a look at some of the words that people actually wrote in this chat rather than just saying hello to people. There might be some important stuff here. Here we go. Right, just having a look here. Send me the PC laptop and I'll repair it for you. Yeah, I'm not sure if they'd be too thrilled about that, me sending it all the way to Canada. How's that laptop coming along? Well, halfway through watching the sink cleaner video before I was rudely interrupted by a shouty meeting there that caused me and my employer to part ways. Well, there you go. Love shouty meetings, don't we? Now, a couple of things. So, yeah, obviously just mentioning that the ultrasonic cleaner video has been released. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Even if you're not interested in ultrasonic cleaners, I have tried to make it reasonably interesting and fun. I mean, build videos. We all like build videos, don't we? Don't really mind what they're building as long as they get built. I got into all sorts of trouble by not putting something in the video. It's really funny. When I did my first ultrasonic cleaner video, I didn't include anything about the wiring. And I had so many people complaining, put the wiring in, put the wiring, got to put the wiring in. So this time I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to put all the wiring in. So I put the wiring in, and I have had non-stop comments from people saying, you have to put grommets around the wire that's going through the metal chassis. And I just didn't put it in the video. Yeah, good old grommets, eh? Just one hole slightly smaller than the thread. Use a magnet to stick the thread in place, and use a MIG to tack them in place. Yeah, a lot of people have actually talked about the idea of actually drilling a hole in there. I really don't want to compromise the. Well, one really important thing is that the sink is stainless steel, and generally the weldy type stuff is a sort of corrosive metal. So if any of the welds are exposed on the sink side, it's going to probably introduce some corrosion, some oxidization on those welds. So that's why I've sort of, as much as possible, just trying to do them on the underside, so that the inside, the stainless steel part on the inside, there's no way that anything can corrode there. So, because really, I mean, I did actually try some welding, and I got a little bit of a weld, like a little bit of a hole through there onto the other side, and a little bit of the actual weld itself was exposed on that side of the sink, and it rusted like within a day or two. So, yeah. TIG welding would have worked. Oh, absolutely. TIG welding would have worked. I don't have the setup for that. Look, I could have got that done by someone. I've got a friend who's got a TIG setup, but I really did want to try and do this myself, and I didn't want to have to go out and buy a whole TIG setup. So the silver soldering worked. I would do it differently if I was to do it again. But, that's life. What I would have done is something that someone actually suggested, which I think is a great idea, and that is to actually solder the metal, the sink, and then drop and let it cool a little bit, and then drop the thing on top, and then heat it up, and then just let the thing sort of fall into the solder and do it that way, rather than putting them on there and welding around the edges. I would certainly want to give that a try anyway. So TIG welding that thin is really difficult though. Yeah, I mean, it would needed to have been done by someone who knows how to do it good and proper. Spot weld was the other idea. A couple of people were talking about that too. But anyhow, look, it's done. It works. Other than the basin getting a little bit distorted from the heat, because it is quite a thin stainless steel, and when it warped, the first one I did was a thicker stainless steel. It's like this stuff here. And it warped, but it just went straight back to its original position afterwards. Whereas this, when it warped, it went back, but it didn't go back all the way. So there are little lumps there. But look, at the end of the day, it is running beautifully. I'm extremely happy with it. It's cranking out some unbelievable power. It's really, really powerful. So I'm very happy with that. Jack 68K, hello there. Right, so anyhow, we've covered that. Another thing I want to just do quickly, I want to just do a cute little demonstration here for a little bit of fun, because I bought something new recently and I would love you all to have a look at it. So I'm going to change views of the camera here so that you can see. How do you like the look of that? No, it's not a Kaiweets KM601 smart digital multimeter. This is your good old-fashioned chunky analog I nearly called it a digital multimeter. AMM, analog multimeter. And I bought this this is actually a real cheapie. I would probably like to try and get hold of an older one, because this is brand new. I know that seems silly. You might need to buy one of these brand new, but you can buy these brand new. And This is the only size they had. If you get an older one, you're probably more likely to find one that'd be in a more compact sort of case, which would be nice. But I bought this, and I mainly bought it. I'm probably going to do a video on this, a pre-recorded video, because I bought this to show something very interesting that it might sort of seem like, what on earth do you need an analog multimeter for? They are actually really, really handy. And I recommend that if you are someone that's doing a lot of electronics work, that it's not a bad idea to have one of these in the toolkit. And I'm going to demonstrate why now. People who know this stuff well will already know, but some people I'm hoping won't know this, and I can show them. I have got here my Kaiweets KM601 digital multimeter. You will find links in the description and a discount code if you want to buy one of these. This is a lot of multimeter for a very good price. So, Kaiweets KM601, get it stuck in your head. Okay, so I've got something off to the side here, and I am going to measure it with my little multimeter leads. I'm not going to let you see what it is, but I'm going to measure it, and then we're going to have a look at the results that we get here. Okay, so looking at that there now, and I'm going to put my leads on like this, and what are we getting? We're getting 2.6, 1.8, 1, 1, 2.6, 1, 2.6, 1.8. Now, looking at that there, we're not getting a stable voltage. It's all a little bit messy that we're getting there. And it's kind of hard to really figure out what's going on looking at that there, other than we know the voltage is changing. Now we're going to do the same thing with the analog multimeter and have a look at the results. I'll put it around the right way there. So, I'm going to pop this on there, and can you see that needle? All of a sudden we have a much, much clearer picture of what is going on. We've got a regular, consistent pulse. It's going down to 0 and then up to whatever that is. It's about 2 point something, whatever it is. I've got this set on 10 years, so it's about going to about 2.5 volts. And that is a really, really interesting thing to be able to see when you're doing diagnostics, because a lot of the time you can end up in a situation where you will have a pulsing power. And when things are pulsing, you can then generally get a much better idea of what's going on if you know what the lowest point is, what the highest point is, whether it's a consistent pulse or whether it's happening, you know, off and on. I mean, that one there, we can see it is very, very clearly happening at a specific timed interval. And you cannot tell that from a digital multimeter. So, now obviously you can take it a step further and you can get an oscilloscope, because you can use an oscilloscope and connect it up, and it will actually go in and chart it out, and then you can actually figure out what the frequency of the pulse is. But this is a much cheaper option, and it will at least give you that idea of there being, you know, that sort of pulse going on. So anyhow, it's just there. It's a cheaper option. I mean, yes, I know if you want to get into the next level of diagnostics, you then need to have a look at you know, sort of an oscilloscope. But just wanted to demonstrate that to folks, because, you know, this is all about sharing knowledge and things. So anyhow, wasn't that fun? Hello from PowerPC, Sam. You do not disappoint, mate. I am impressed. So, how many frames per second are you getting on that thing? And I assume we're talking about a G5. I can't imagine you'd be able to watch this on anything slower than a G5, but you know. For those who aren't aware, the MacYac group, I am a member of the MacYac group. We have an annual thing called the PowerPC Challenge, and what we invite people to do is pull out an old PowerPC and try and do as much on it as you can, just to see whether you can actually still use a PowerPC to get things done. I've got my G5 set up now. As Jay from the House of Moth, who isn't here by the way, often points out, he often points out to me that it's cheating a bit using a G5, because the G5s are actually a pretty powerful and capable computer. Mine is a dual 2 gigahertz G5, and I've got it loaded up with 8 gigs of RAM and a Samsung SSD, and it actually flies. It goes pretty quick. I mean, there are still problems. It doesn't do the web very well, or certainly not the modern web anyway. But No frame drops. So Sam, tell us which G5 you're using. I would love to know that. I love G5s, by the way. That's one of my favourite computers. So I bought one in 2003. It was the first release of the G5. They came in, I think, two or three flavours. I think there was a single CPU one, and there was like a dual 1.8 and a dual 2 gigahertz. And I went for the top of the line. I went for the dual 2 gigahertz, and it cost me an absolute mozza. That's a lot of money, by the way. Yeah, and I have had it ever since, and it lives in my office. I have my Mac Pro on my right and my G5 on the left. So there. Ghostly lurker, hello there. Thank you for not lurking and actually coming in and saying hello. That's fantastic. Single 1.8. Oh wow. Okay, fair enough. And it's a 2003 model. Yeah, so that's the same one that I have, but I just got the big zippy fast one. Okay. Oh, by the way, just in case people were wondering what it was I was testing with my multimeter when I was doing that demonstration, it's this. It's a little thing, and I was reading this LED light, which is going off and on and off and on, and that's why we were getting a pulse. So, wasn't that nice? My G5 is the 1.61 from 2003. Sorry, yeah, 1.61 from 2003. Oh, yeah, okay, cool. The G5, of course, they then ended up making a quad-core version. It was liquid cooled, and of course that's become a huge problem with them these days from a keeping them going restoration perspective, because the seals on those go, and then you end up with coolant running all over your computer power supply. You can find out more about that on one of what's his name, Crazy Ken from what's the channel called? Crazy Ken from, can't remember. He's got a video where he was basically firing up an old G5 and it went pop. Yeah, so anyhow, they were pretty powerful. The biggest problem with the G5s, of course, was cooling. They got blazingly hot, and that's why they had to make a liquid cooled one. And that's really why the design of the G5 got made at all. That whole thing became one big giant heatsink. So Computer Clan, that's it. Thank you very much. Crazy Ken from Computer Clan, he did a video where he was testing out an old G5 tower, and it went pop, and then he sort of found the problem. And I think he repaired it. I think it ended up getting repaired either by himself or with help from either Steve or from Greg Rutke. I can't remember. So yeah. Oh, thank you very much, Retro Fox. Yes, this is my Nostromo shirt. I know that Kai is also a big fan of Aliens, so yes, he always spots my esoteric Alien shirts. I sort of have a few of them. Oopsie. Yeah, so anyhow, what I am planning to do today is work on this. I started working on this in my last live stream, which I did just before or just after Christmas. I can't remember. It was around about that time. Happy New Year, everyone, by the way. Welcome to 2023. Let's hope it's a darn sight better than 2022. I own the exact same t-shirt. Not surprised. Still overheats. Oh, okay. I own a quad. Fix the cooling. Should work, but still overheats. That's a bummer. I'll be honest. I am actually glad that I have the air-cooled one and not the liquid-cooled one. It's because it has been incredibly reliable. I mean, it's, it's a 2003 computer and still running beautifully. Unlike these things that I work on, not running beautifully at all. Okay, just checking things here, make sure I haven't missed anything. 2005 dual 2, but it's currently sad. It's sad. Yeah. I've got a couple of G5 iMacs, two G5 iMacs. One works, one doesn't, but they both have severe capacitor leakage inside. It is my intention to do a video on them. The biggest problem I have at the moment is I have so many videos to do. My production schedule is just chockers with videos, and I've got to get through them. So it's just a question of when I'll get that one done. But I'm planning to do a video on the G5 because what I want to do, because I have two of them, I want to buy all the capacitors to recap it. Then I want to recap it. and then I want to sell it on eBay and see if I can recoup the costs of the capacitors, because I got the computer for free. So it owes me nothing at this stage. But if I spend money on the capacitors, I want to see if I can then sell it on eBay and make the cost of the capacitors back. Because the G5 iMac is kind of, not really very collectible. So it'll be a fun little experiment to see whether it's even doable. I've got some other videos that I need to do. I got some stuff from oh geez, I've forgotten. I've just drawn a blank. But I got some stuff from Boll, from Germany, and that's a little upgrade for my Macintosh SE30, and I'm going to be doing a video on that. And I have to do that fairly soon because I think Sean from Action Retro wants to do a video on that as well. So I need to get mine out first. We have a sort of a gentleman's agreement that I would do mine first and he would do his second. So let's hope that I can get it out in enough time so that that agreement can be honoured. And hang on, I'm just going to see if I can bring my brain back from the brink here, because I am just having the biggest brain fart at the moment. Well, I've got my phone here. Just bear with me a second. Apologies, everyone. Just talk about yourself. Talk about yourself. That's right. Oh, yeah. Won't be long. Won't be long. That's nearly done. At last, my brain finally came into some form of working. So, Kay Koba. Sorry about that, Kay. I completely and totally drew a blank on his name there for a second. Kay sent me a little care package the other day, and it is an absolutely awesome thing, and I'm going to be doing a video on that as well. It is basically little printed circuit boards that allow you to make your own 4 megabyte sims, 30-pin sims for your vintage Macs. And of course, 4 megabyte sims are a great thing to have because they can be used for the Classic 2 or the Color Classic to take you up to the maximum of 10 megabytes. Those computers have a limit on them. They have a cap on how much RAM you can put in them, and that cap is 10 megabytes. But if you put 2 4s in, so you've got the 8 there, and then on the Classic 2, there's 2 on the board, that gives you your 10. On the Color Classic, it is 4 on the board. So you end up with, strictly speaking, you end up with 12 megabytes, but the computer will only address 10. So, yeah. Justin is here. Hello, Justin. Did I say hello to you already or not? I'm not sure. There we go. Chatted to Justin before as well. Right. Okay. Right. All right. So, let us begin. Let's think about beginning here. Have I done this yet? I don't think I've done this yet.
Smash that like button.
Please. Right, so let's just have a little top view of this thing here. So here is my Mac 2 board, barely fits on the desk because it's big. This will need to go into the big ultrasonic cleaner behind me when it's done because it's too big to go into the little one. I could put this into the laundry one, but I'm going to test that on some printed circuit boards first. I'm going to test it on something that it's something that's mine and something I don't care about, just in case it completely destroys the board. If we end up with some ultrasonic corrosion, which you can get. So this is a Mac 2, and it has thankfully had its batteries removed, and I think that was done some time ago. So we haven't ended up with one of the common problems with these. With the batteries in place, it leaves electricity running along this section along here. A little section goes all the way along here and along here and along here and along here and along here. And you end up, because of whatever it's called, electrolysis or something like that, you end up getting these traces corroding because they've actually had power running through them. So, yeah, that happens all the time. Whenever I get a Mac 2, it's almost always corrosion in the same place. This one doesn't have that, so that suggests to me the batteries were taken off a good while ago, which is absolutely fantastic, and it's what we should all be doing. but it does have a lot of corrosion caused by the capacitor leakage. Now, I did already repair quite a bit. I repaired some around here, and I repaired some around here, but we've got a few more to do, and they're all going to need a little bit of cleaning and trace repair. So, well, most of them are. Remove all the batteries in all the Mac 2s I got. Yes, if it isn't already too late, you should absolutely do that. Because as I say, it's like just, even if they haven't leaked, the batteries just being there cause corrosion. And it does depend on the storage conditions of the computer as well. We're talking about something which accelerates corrosion. But, you know, if you have something kept in a very dry sort of area, it may not be that bad. But yeah, definitely take all the batteries out. Absolutely. Right. Thank you for smashing. I do thank you. Have I said hello to you, Thomas? If I haven't, hello. Yeah. All right. So anyhow, let us continue, shall we? So I'm going to switch over to the microscope view now. We're going to have a look at this. Now, just a reminder to everyone, I do sort of talk about and explain some of the things that I'm doing here. If you have any questions, just jump in there. If I don't reply, it's only usually just because the chat's zooming past. You can always do the little @ brackets at front, so it highlights the message for me. If you're desperate to have something answered, make some 2FX ones while you're at it. Yeah, I mean, just to mention, obviously, Kai has created PCBs over here that allow you to make 2FX RAM. And I was going to make those for my 2FX, but I still haven't been able to get my 2FX to work because my 2FX was very badly battery bombed. So I may or may not get that fixed one day. We'll see. I mean, it takes a long time, and that sort of stuff takes a long time, and I have lots of other people's boards to fix. I do actually have a 2FX here at the moment. It's not mine. It belongs to Kai. And I must send it back to him because it has been fixed. Scope view, here we are. There we go. Oz Retrocomp, hello there. How are you? Welcome. And Max is here as well. Hello, Max. Any luck with that? I saw Max just recently. He came and collected a Blueberry, I think it's a Blueberry G3 iMac that I had, and sorry, the white balance has gone on my camera, so just bear with me a minute while I fix this up. And it wasn't working, and I couldn't be bothered fixing it, so I just asked if he wanted it, and he took it away. And I'm just curious as to whether you've had any luck, had a look at it. Indigo, there we go. That's the word, indigo. I keep forgetting that. Colourful. Isn't that nice? So what we have here, recently sold my spare 2FX motherboard. Yeah, I saw that for sale on the Facebook Marketplace. Okay, so this isn't too bad. We've got some green here, but as to whether that means we've still got, I'm gonna have to spin this around the other way. Sorry. So let's spin this around this way. We'll just get some of that corrosion off. Okay, that's good. We had green there, but as I scrape away, we've got nice healthy traces underneath. This is another area that can often get a fair bit of damage on it, but this one's not too bad. I mean, other than being green, it's not easy being green. I'm just so racist about these traces. We don't like green ones. Don't like green traces. Do I need a new blade? Feels like I need a new blade. It's looking great on my shelf for now. Got the flu at the moment. That's no good. That's no good. Well, I do hope you get better soon. It's not really the time for flu usually in this part of the world because it isn't in the middle of summer, but boy, we've had a mild summer this year. We've had a few warm days. Today's a beautiful day, but it's the first beautiful day we've had in quite some time. It's been absolutely miserable here, wet and cold. Just crazy cold. Don't like it. Not a fan. I'm actually, I really like warm weather, which is the exact opposite of my wife, so that always makes things interesting. Oh, and I did hear on the grapevine that, what are they called? What's the company the other company that make the flux? Not Antec, the other one, Inventec. I have heard that Inventec is starting legal action to try and be the sole owner of the name Amtec. So this is interesting. They email me. They don't respond to any of my questions, but they do email me with stuff. So my video on Amtec Flux is obviously something that has interested them. But when I asked them about the whole, what is it, V2 versus ASM thing, as to whether there was any truth that they were, oh man, that stinks. As to whether if there was any truth that they were putting the ASM product with a label, a V2 label on it, they did not answer at all. They fell completely silent. Now, what can we read into that? Maybe they just didn't read my email. I don't know. Or maybe it's true and they don't want to admit it, or who knows. But, yeah. Where's my wick? I know I've got stacks. I bought a whole bunch the other day. Oh, there it is. Yes, I have seen your videos, Apples Anonymous. I have seen the work you did on those Mac 2s and getting them up and running. It's interesting you were mentioning the jump starting them, because obviously one of the important things about the Mac 2 is that they need a battery in there to start. It's actually part of the startup circuit. It needs power, so you need the battery in there. So if you've got an old computer where the batteries are dead, or if the batteries have been removed, because on these ones they were hardwired in there, so people, you know, have removed the battery. It makes it a little bit tricky to get them up and running. And there is this jump start method you can use. I actually have a purpose-made power supply here that I use. It's just an ATX power supply I've put some different connectors on there, and it is what I use to test these out, because it starts up the computer. It completely bypasses the soft start circuit. So and that's what I'll be testing on this one when I've finished all the work on it. If I miss anything in the chat, I do apologise. Obviously, while I'm doing this, the chat zooms past and I miss things. So again, if anyone asks any questions and I don't answer, feel free to ask them again. And you know, I always answer the ones with the super chat. You know that, don't you? Yeah. Okay. Anyone do anything interesting on New Year's Eve? I know I didn't. I stayed at home and watched fireworks on the television. But it was nice. Also watched Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings, the first one, Fellowship of the Ring. Watched that. Okay, so that one's looking pretty good. That one's ready for a new cap. Let's travel over here. We've got one sitting underneath the ROMs. Now, I mentioned when I was looking at this last time that we've got some corrosion around these ROM chips, and I'm really hoping that I don't have to remove these. But if I am in a situation where I can't get this started, and it seems to be possibly ROM related, I will probably have to take these two bottom ones off the board, which I hate doing. I hate removing, what do you call it, through hole stuff. I just can't stand it. I find it so frustrating. And I get impatient. There we go. Just removing some of that component adhesive there. Generally the way these are made is they have like a pick and place machine. The way these were made, it's different these days, but the way these were made, they had a machine that would go in and squirt out a little bit of component adhesive, and then the components would be stuck down, and then they would be wave soldered. So got to get that adhesive off. Fired up Bruce Lee on my Apple IIc. Which Bruce Lee did you fire up? Jump starting was a pain, especially the Mac II that I was testing the voltages of the batteries. The reefer blew in the PSU, scared the crap out of me. Yeah, reefers going off do scare. I can attest to that. I've had a few go. You know, it's a relatively benign thing that's actually going on, but they pop and they smoke and they stink and they freak you out. That's what reefers do. Reefers are the safety capacitors that you will find in a lot of things. And they have Class Y and Class X safety capacitors. And of course these days there's like X1, X2, X3, X4, that sort of stuff. But yeah. Pretty much most of these traces look like they're actually coming up all right, even though they had lots of green on them. I don't think I've got any trace repairs to do here. It's nice. This might end up being easier than I thought it was going to be. The flux that I'm using today, by the way, I've got a little critter on the end of my flux here. Hello, critter. I don't think he's very well anymore. I am using Amtech NC559 ASM TF. TF stands for Tachyflux. This is my favorite flux to use. There are alternatives out there, and there are alternatives based on what you're doing. So for example, I have featured on one of my videos a flux called V3, the Amtech NC559 V3. And one of the great things about that is it's not as toxic as this. So if you happen to do a little bit of soldering without a fume extractor, you're less likely to do horrible things to yourself. One of the bad things about this sort of hobby, soldering, is there's heat, there's chemicals, that sort of stuff. I haven't done it in a while, but I do regularly burn myself with my soldering iron. Actually, the main thing I usually burn myself with are things that have been heated up by the soldering iron, and then I've got complacent. So I burn myself regularly with my solder wick. I get the end of the wick hot, and then I just happen to touch it or brush up against it and burn myself that way. Yeah. I was working on a Apple Lisa power supply. I can't remember, I looked away for something. I think someone sent me a message or something like that. And I just looked away, and then when I looked back, there's still this smoke pouring out. And of course, it just caught me so terribly off guard because I was looking at other things. You know, I was preoccupied, looking at messages or something like that. And so I just looked back, and of course, I was very frustrated because I missed out on taking any video or photo of it. I mean, I would normally like to photograph that sort of stuff and share it with other folks, share it with the townspeople. I'm basically just I'm being very gentle here, and I'm using some solder, some flux, heat, you know, the wick, and I am basically just trying to get all of these traces looking good again. So what you know, sort of actually does look good in my opinion is when there's no blackening on the traces. It's just shiny solder. That's all. We want to clear all the corrosion off so that we can future-proof this, so that it will remain good into the future. Because we need to make sure this Mac II stays around with us. So I'm sort of using the wick almost like sandpaper to just rub these traces until they're all looking shiny. At the moment it looks awful because it's all brown. All this flux is now getting burnt, and so it's getting brown, and I don't have my fume extractor on because I'm an idiot. Just firing up the fume extractor. That are good, and then I'm going to just I had a sort of a work colleague contact me and asked if I would take his son under my wing to start teaching him some of this stuff. His son was actually quite young. I don't know if he was just trying to get him out of his hair or something like that. And I said, look, yeah, I'm more than happy to, but just keep in mind that this is a pretty dangerous hobby. So now, I mean, I started doing it when I was very, very young, but it is a dangerous hobby. You know, there is the heat, there's electricity, there's, you know, there's a lot of, you know, there's fumes, there's lead. Just be aware of that. I need to tell you that before you sort of commit to anything along those lines. And it never happened. Now, there could be a lot of reasons why it never happened, but it never happened. I'm going to probably put on a little, can't see it. We're going to put on a little wire bit here. I just don't like the look of that one. It's just a little bit thin for my liking. But everything else here is looking pretty good. Oh, that one's a bit ugly, isn't it? Look at him. Nasty. Yeah, we'll definitely put a bit of wire on that one as well. Okay, so, and I might do this one too. So, or did I already point at that one? That one. That one. So I am going to stick some wire on these, even though we're probably okay. I'm going to do... Oh, that one was nasty. Didn't scrape that off before. Okay. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. See, I can count. To do these trace repairs, we're going to be using some enameled wire. CRTs, yeah. Zapparoni. I think I can safely say I have never been zapped by a CRT. I've certainly been hit with 240 volts AC a few times. And that's rather unpleasant, I'll have to say. The whole thing with AC is if you do survive it, it should hopefully give you a fairly healthy respect for it, and you may be less likely to get zapped again. I remember reading in a book once, an electronics book, it said something like, some people have a higher tolerance to being hit with high-powered electric shocks than others. I said, but we do not recommend you try and find out. I used to have a monitor. So CRTs initially, early ones, like things like the old original Macintosh, they have a flyback transformer on there, and then they have the anode cap, and then that gets charged, and if you don't discharge it and you touch the wrong thing, you can get a very good zap from it. It's only a small screen, so the zap ain't too bad, but what's interesting is we used to have these great big 21-inch monitors, and they would automatically discharge. So when you switch the computer off, the monitor off, the flyback would discharge. But if you just happen to switch the monitor off and then unplug it and then grab it and then accidentally touch the actually it was probably just caps and a power supply, to be honest, now the more I think about it. But anyhow, if you just happen to touch the plugs that the power plug would plug into, you touch your finger on those little pins, you would get one really healthy shock. And that happened to me many times because I used to have to move those things all the time. And you know, unplug the monitor, go grab it, and then you just touch the little pin in the power socket, and wham! Unpleasant. Definitely not recommending that to anyone. Okay, let's get some more flux on here. So yes, I use this enameled wire. The enamel melts off very easily. So I just apply some heat with the iron, the enamel melts off, and then the solder sticks to it. And then I stick it on the trace. And you sort of, in case you're wondering why I use an enameled wire, it's because sometimes these trace repairs have to travel across some distance. For instance, like with Javier's board, which is getting ready to be packed up and sent back to Javier. Or being sent back to Joe first. That stick, I might need a bit more solder. We've actually had to run traces along the board, and so them being enameled means that you've got some insulation there in case they run past something, run past another piece of metal. So that's why I use an enameled wire. This is the sort of wire that you would use to wrap a transformer or create an electromagnet. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Didn't Sean install Windows 95 from floppy disk on his industrial PC? Well, yes, I believe he did. I haven't watched that video yet. That only came out, for me, it was like it was only available there this morning. And I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. But yes, that's certainly what it looked like. I'm looking forward to having a look at that later on. Probably watch that tonight. I do enjoy Sean's vids. I remember back in the days when Sean had fewer subscribers than I did. And now look at the guy. Far out. He's so famous. Need more solder. I'm not getting through to the trace. You really don't need much solder for doing this. You only need the tiniest amount, but you do need some. Some to wrap around the wire and then some to dribble down onto the trace itself. And then we don't want to create a bridge. Nope, nope. These particular traces that I'm working on here, I didn't even bother to check them with a multimeter though, and they might still be fine. Just didn't like the look of them. So, you know. There's me being racist against traces again. Just didn't like the look of them. Didn't even bother to give them an opportunity to prove themselves. Just did not like the look of them. Should that one be done too? Now, I'll do this other one that I was going to do first. We'll go and check that. His cursed SE30 shot him to fame. The main thing with Sean is he provides a niche, and he does it really, really well. And so everyone who is, you know, he limits himself somewhat to how many subscribers he can get in the future because it is such a niche thing that he does. You know, this vintage tech, upgrading vintage tech. But the thing about it is that just about everyone who is into that subscribes to his channel. And so, you know, he's got this very niche but very, you know, large subscriber base. And of course he's very clever about it. He releases regularly. He does pre-recorded videos where he scripts them and records them properly, and he's got great sound and great video quality and all that sort of stuff. And he does interesting things, and of course he has to spend a lot of money because he buys a lot of upgrades that, well, to be quite frank, they're outside of the price range of a lot of people. And some of the stuff that he's done to that SE30 costs a lot of money. But he's able to utilise the money he makes from the channel to put it back into the channel. Tracist. Sound of variable speed floppy drives, yeah. Speaking of floppy drives, that was one of the videos that I really enjoyed of Sean's when he turned a whole bunch of floppy drives into a RAID. I was disappointed when he started killing it. You know, he had it all up and running and then he started pulling discs out to force it to actually fail. And I was like, oh no, don't do that. Don't kill it. Yeah, I think now this trace is okay. It's just because it's dirty. All right, so I'm going to just give this a clean now. We'll have another quick little eyeball of this section. I probably had all of what I was doing before there not able to be seen. And for that, I apologise. I apologise to one and all. Right, looking pretty good here, I think. I mean, if I fire the thing up and it doesn't work, you might have to go back and have a look at some of these again and see if I missed some stuff. I am looking over here at a particular location where I see some pretty ugly trace green. And that be right, hey, I can't fit this in here. Can't fit it in here. Be right there. Look at that nastiness. That is going across to that's a crystal oscillator right there. 40 megahertz. And that's, don't even know what that's going to be equivalent for. Wonder what runs at 40. Certainly not the CPU. The CPU on this thing runs at 16. 16 megahertz. And that's probably it. That's it there. So that's 31.3. So that's essentially like 32, just under. And so the CPU is half that. So there's usually on these, or certainly on these Macs, the crystal oscillator is twice the speed of the clock speed of the computer. Jeremy is here. Hello, Jeremy. Oh dear, global chip shortage. Yeah, I'll tell you, the chips that I really wanted to get hold of, and to some extent they're not needed anymore, are the chips used on the SCSI II SD. Because I make my own SCSI II SDs, and I've got a whole stack of blank boards for SCSI II SDs, but I don't have the chips, the CPUs, to be able to make them, and I don't even know if I'll ever get them. I don't know if they're going to fire up production for those again, but we'll just see. But that's been very, very frustrating. Now, the reason why I said not really needed anymore is that thanks to that chip shortage, we have seen lots of different things going on. I mean, first of all, we've got the blue SCSI, which has entered the world recently, and the blue SCSI uses a blue pill Arduino development board thingy as its CPU, and then the SCSI II SD guys, the Rabbit Hole Computing, they are known as, they moved across to a different CPU. And in actual fact, they're now using a Raspberry Pi RP2040 CPU to run the Zulu SCSI, which is the next iteration of SCSI II SD. And that's pretty quick. And I've heard rumours that there are good things coming with Blue SCSI as well in terms of speed and changes and whatnot. I tell you, it is a great time to be into vintage computers at the moment, don't you reckon? I mean, you know, when you get on to Tinker Different and you have a look at some of the projects that are being done, and you know, but anyhow, the reason why I started this discussion because I was talking about getting the chip for the SCSI 2SD, and the reason is that I used to make those old SCSI 2SDs, and I found it very therapeutic. It's all surface mount soldering, some incredibly fine work to be done to make them, and I really enjoyed it. I actually had a really good time doing it, and I miss it. And I would love to get those chips again, even if I end up just making them for myself. And I've always got vintage computers that need hard drives, so yeah, that's that was a very, very roundabout way of saying what I was saying there. Computer booter. Hello there, computer booter. Welcome to the stream. Mac 84 is here proper now. He was out, wasn't he? You were out. He wasn't there, so he couldn't be here properly. But he's here properly now. That's good. Just to let everyone know the incredible sacrifice I'm making. There is actually cricket on at the moment, and I am not watching the cricket. I'm doing a live stream. I love watching cricket, and so I just need everyone to know that this is how important you all are to me. I go and do a live stream when there's cricket on. It's day 5. It's the last day. Unfortunately, almost, I think, two full days got rained out. So a 5-day test is now having to be played in 3 days. Sydney is very good at raining around this time of year. And cricket and rain don't really mix very well. We do have a ground somewhere, I can't remember, it might be in Melbourne or something like that, with a roof. And it would be great if you could just move everyone there to play the game, but that's not really logistically possible. This one's pretty ugly, so I'm probably going to put a trace on that one. The rest I think are fine. I don't think I need to do anything to all of these ones here. They're tinned quite well. They look like they are going to provide a continuous flow of electrons. Dear. I'm terrible at cricket. Playing it, I can't play it. I'm terrible at it. Just never really got that much into sports when I was younger. I was a bit of a tech nerd. Sort of. Then I became a bit of a grub, a bit of an awful person. And then I kind of came back to being somewhat normal. Somewhat normal. Frank S, hello. G'day, g'day, g'day. In case anyone is thinking that Australians only say g'day in like tourism commercials, that is not the case. We do say g'day a lot. In fact, when I went travelling overseas, I did it so often, and it's like, I don't have to give myself away as Australian so quickly. People come up and say, morning. I go, g'day. You Australian? Oh, how'd you guess? We say sorry a lot. Sorry. Good day to you, sir. Do you also drink Foster's? Well, that's the funny thing about Foster's is Foster's was always marketed overseas. Hardly anyone in Australia drinks that stuff. It's like making love in a canoe. Fucking close to water. Ba-bumch. Over here there are probably the most popular beer for a while was a beer called VB, Victoria Bitter. That was a big one, but it's been overtaken now because of changing tastes. Apparently, the most popular beer in Australia now is the Great Northern, and that's actually a mid-strength beer. It's not even a full-strength beer. It's obviously because people, if they have to drive, there are random breath tests here. It's really not a good idea to drink and drive in this country. So people drink this mid-strength beer so that they can have more of them. But Foster's, no, Australians don't drink Foster's. Just tourists. And yes, of course, the whole shrimp on the barbie was a bizarre thing because we don't call them shrimps. We call them prawns. There I am at the barbecue, drinking my VB, chucking another prawn on the barbie. But anywho, we are big on barbecues, though, I will tell you that. The Aussie barbecue is definitely a thing. Do-do-do. Do-do-do. Too many beers to choose from. Yeah, there are a lot of beers to choose from. I'll be honest, I am quite partial to a Cooper's Pale Ale. It's one of my favourites. I also am a big fan of 150 Lashes by James Squire. They are probably my two favourite beers. But having said that, I'm not a super big beer drinker anyway. I generally drink beer when I go to the pub, when I go to the pub, but have you ever tried Corona beer? Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think I've actually got some here at the moment. I love La Cerveza Más Fina, the beer most fine. I really like it, in particular in summer. Corona is a lovely summer beer. It's just very light. I like Corona on a really hot day. If you're outdoors at a barbecue or something like that. So definitely like that. See you, Adam. Bye bye. Jay from the House of Moth is here. Welcome, Jay from the House of Moth. The one who is always badgering me to do live streams. Then when I give him 23 hours warning that I'm doing one, he turns up an hour late. What more am I supposed to do? Huh? What can I do? But anyhow, welcome, Jay. Thank you for joining. We are working our way through a Mac II. You will have a bit of knowledge of working on these because you have a few of these at the moment. This one has quite a lot of trace damage. This area doesn't look too bad, but we're going to clean it up. Oh, I should have scraped that first, shouldn't I? Shouldn't I? Some of them have actually been breaks in the traces, other have just been gunk that I've just had to clean off. But this one is coming along quite well. I want to remind people, if anyone's watching at the moment, about my other channel. This is a channel that I do with Jay from the House of Moth and Dana from Dana Doesn't Do Anything. And it's called Startup Disk is Full. And it's a little tech channel. We're still kind of finding our footing with it. I'm making a few little changes in the next show. I want to always trying to improve it. It's basically a tech channel where we just talk about all things tech, just fairly broad topics. We did make a promise that we would do a live show once we reached 100 subscribers, and 101 subscribers is how many we currently have. And so we are going to do a live stream, and we will be discussing on the next show. We'll be discussing collecting vintage tech. Or vintage tech collecting, and that's what the live discussion will be about. So I do hope that a lot of people will join us, because we know that certainly a lot of the people that watch like things like MacYat, and indeed watch this channel as well, quite a lot of people are fans of vintage tech collecting. And of course I collect Macs, but I collect more than that as well. I've got all sorts of bits and pieces. I've got lots of old tech things. I'm a big fan of the old Game & Watch. I don't know if anyone remembers the old Nintendo Game & Watch. They were from the 1980s. Now I don't, I say that I love them, but I don't actually have any because they're so friggin' expensive. I think I might have one. I love vintage games, vintage handheld games. There was a time that predated all of the technology that was available today, and there was, for example, there was a little Pac-Man that you could buy, and then there was a little Space Invaders that you could buy, and they had these games. They were a one-trick pony. They could only play one game, but they were very big in the 80s. You know, when I was probably, I don't know, maybe 10 years old, 10, 11 years old, something like that. Yeah, I love those sorts of things, and they do come up cheap sometimes. Yeah, and they come up at sort of junk markets and things sometimes as well. Yes, I do like those sorts of things. Do you have an Atari 2600? I do not have an Atari 2600. Which is the Atari that had the flat keys, like the flat membrane type keys? Was that the 2600? I'm not sure. Or was the 2600 the one that had the two? Oh, is that? It's the one that, I think I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, because there was another one that had a keyboard that was made out of the control panels that slid together. So that you had, the game controllers, you would pull them out, and if you slotted them in together, they would turn into a keyboard. And then there was another one that just had those cartridges that stick in the front slightly end angle. I think that's the 2600. I remember playing a mechanical Pac-Man game as a kid. I tell you, a mechanical game that I remember was Speedway. I can't remember, something like that. And you drove a little car left and right, and then it had like a piece of plastic sheeting that used to spin around inside it was the other cars, and you had to dodge them, and it would get faster and faster and faster and harder to dodge them and stuff. Very repetitive, but you know. The original 6-switch Woody is the desirable, and yep, I can picture it in my head. I can picture that wood finish on it. I can see it in my head. Yeah. Someone I know got one of those recently. Oh, that's right. And he just picked it up at junk markets. There's a friend of mine. I don't know. It was a Woody one. I don't know if it's the 6-switch Woody one, but it's definitely a Woody one. And he just picked it up at some junk markets. And I was just like, oh wow, well done. Don't know what he paid for it. Sorry, one of my chickens is making noise at the moment. So shall we say hello to the chickens? I think I've got the camera running. We'll see. Chickens. Hello, chickens. The one that you can see in there at the moment, that is not the one making the noise. The one making the noise is the one that's walking in circles there is the blind one. And then the one that's making all the noise, I think, is actually in that coop in the back there. She's the Australorp, and she is a pain in the butt because she is so freaking noisy. Sea Raider electromechanical arcade game, awesome. I remember my dad brought home a computer from. My dad was a teacher, and there was a computer that he had at school, and he brought it home once for some reason, and it was a. I can't remember what the brand was, but I know that it had timber on the sides, had that wood finish look. It's amazing that they had wood finish on computers back then. Someone should bring one out now with wood finish on it, you reckon? Right, so just looking at these caps, I've got my little cluster. Oopsie, got my little cluster of 3 caps to do over here, but I think that's it. I think I've done everything else. That's clean. That's clean. That's clean. This thing's going to need so much UV solder mask. I really want to get this to a state where I can test it today. So just setting expectations for anyone watching. It is my intention, once I put new caps on this, to test it out. Scrapey, scrapey. Oh God, this is going right up my spine, that sound. Anything that you expose in the way of copper will need to be tinned or coated, because copper does oxidize and corrode. So it needs to be covered. UPC case that has one on the front. Okay. Alrighty. Going to get a bit of flux on there. Sorry, I was just checking on the chat to make sure there isn't anything important that I needed to address there. Yeah. Yesterday was overcast all day, but it didn't actually rain, so it was lovely for walking. I went for a walk yesterday afternoon. It was nice because it wasn't too hot, it wasn't raining. And went on a new walk that I've never been on before, and I plan to do it again because I enjoyed it. I do like to try and walk regularly for a little bit of the healthy, for all of the bad things that I do. Dana is here. Hello, Dana. I'm not cursing enough. Dana wants to hear me swear. All right then, how about this? Dagnabbit. I did mention in the group chat, we have a group chat going with the Mac chaps. I did mention the other day that I am less concerned about not swearing in my live streams. The initial concern was that if you do your live streams with too much swearing, advertisers don't want to advertise with your content, and so you potentially miss out on advertising revenue because the advertisers want clean content. Now, I don't know that I've ever seen any real evidence for that, but to be honest, the advertising revenue that I get comes almost entirely from pre-recorded videos, and I don't swear in those. I don't get much in the way of advertising revenue from these live streams at all. I do these live streams, well, partially because I'm doing this stuff and some people do find it interesting, and so I want to share it and share the knowledge and stuff, but I also do this just so that YouTube knows that I'm here. It's a very quick and easy way to add some content to your channel so that YouTube, you try and stay in the YouTube algorithms, you're in the front of mind. YouTube says, hey, this person's producing content. I have these moments where, just for no apparent reason, one or some of my videos just go ballistic. SOS pad to scrape instead of a knife blade. What is an SOS pad? I don't even know what an SOS pad is. But I'm always interested in different things. I've got a, thanks to Kai, I have a, what do you call it? A fiberglass scrapery pencil-y thingy. And it's good for some things, but it's not particularly good for this sort of scraping. And the other issue I have with it is that once it gets any flux on it, it stops working. Steel wool with soap on it. Okay. How about that? I will have to have a look at that. I'm always happy to investigate things. As I say, I've often had people say, you know, they do things in a certain way, and I try them out. Some of them are good, and some of them are, oh, they might be good, but they just don't suit me. But I'll definitely try that out. Definitely interested to try that out. This was 3 capacitors, and this is the easiest one to do. So try and explain that, huh? Now, we're now at the point where I need to start sticking some new caps on this. Pop a cap in his. Yeah, okay, so it's a brand name SOS, I take it then. So, yeah, we might have them here, I'm not sure. I've got a dishwasher, so. And an Ultrasonic cleaner. Yeah, the little mini grinding pen. Jay from the House of Moth has one of those, and I've seen him use it, and they look pretty good. I mean, I've got my Dremel here. I can always stick a thing on the Dremel and just scrape with that. I like using the blade for the most part. It gives me a lot of control and whatnot. It gets the job done. Right, let's get a recapping guide. Where do you suppose I have all my recapping guides? Here we are, up here. With my things next to the things on the things there. Oh, thank you very much, Jay. I would think the Dremel would run the risk of burning through the entire trace if you're not careful. Yes, you would be right, especially if you got it on a high speed. I do use the Dremel sometimes for getting through stubborn vias. Sometimes they get gunk in them, and what I actually do is I've got a little needle, an actual sewing needle type thing, and I put that inside the Dremel so it spins around, and I kind of use it like a drill. Make a little hole in there. It works. Works a treat. Treat. Anyone want a treat? Okay. Let's. This is my book of recapping guides. These aren't necessarily the ones that are on the web because I clean them up a bit for putting on the web. Some of these are much earlier and much older. It's my little SE30 sound chip guide there. You will find that on the website as well. SE30 analog board, SE30 power supply. It's a Sony one. 2CI, one of my favourites, 2CI. We're going to be seeing a live stream from Jay in the not too distant future where he's going to be working on a 2SI, one that belongs to Justin. Mac Portable, classic, classic 2, classic. It's a classic. Okay, just went into my radio voice there for a second. LC, LC2. Steve just did a video on the LC. Check that out after the stream if you want. It's a fun video. It's the old LC with the dual floppy. Interestingly enough, I have 2 Macintosh LCs, and one of them is a later model, and that second floppy drive is actually blocked out. You can't take the little bit of plastic out. It was sold as a floppy hard drive version with no option for the second floppy, whereas my other LC, it has the little section where you can remove it and put a second floppy drive in there if you want to. LC475, LC power supply. That one's the, can't remember which power supply it is. There are a couple of different power supplies. Color Classic backwards. Color Classic analog board. Color Classic 2, LC575, LC3, LC630. There was a system to this, but then it got messed up. So I'm just letting you know. If you're wondering what system there is here, there's a very, very dirty 2SI power supply. 2VI. 660 AV. Did I miss the 2? I mean, have I gone past it? Did I go past it? Did I just read it out and then not even notice that I looked at it? 2SI. Oh. Bit boo. Bit boo. I would have thought it would be up this end here. Maybe it's there. Maybe it's missing. Anyhow, it's not a problem. There's the, 2FX. It should definitely be here. It should be in this section. Oh, yeah, it was like the first one I looked at. It was the first page. It was when we went Mac Plus and then to Mac 2, and I just completely skipped over it. There are two different versions of this board. The Revision A and the Revision B. The Revision B looks very, very similar to a 2X. And the main difference is, I think, the capacitors. Some of the capacitors a little bit different in some places. But anyhow, this is this. This is a Revision B. We've got our 3 surface mount electrolytics here. And there, and it's all here. All right, so let's do this. I think I have some caps. I was running low. I hope I've got enough to do this. I've got to order some more. I've got to order a whole bunch of things. I need to order parts for blue scuzzies. So I can sell them. Yeah, I've got enough caps for this for sure. Oh. Love the LC. I have 4 of them. I now am very happy to have them all. I have an LC, an LC2 and an LC3, and I've also got an LC475, but it might be a Quadra 605. No, I think, yeah, it's LC. It's definitely got the LC chip on it. And of course the case is in pieces because it's it's one of the ones made with the brittle plastic. Okay. Let's start getting some caps on here. We need a total of 13 of the 47s, 10 microfarads, 16 volt. Now, that's here. This one was originally a electrolytic. I'm going to replace it with a tantalum. I'm going to replace it with an electrolytic. Okay, voting in there. Will I replace it with a tant, or replace it with a an electrolytic? Anyone? 220? Where's the 220? Oh yeah, okay. I'm not going to replace the these guys just yet. I want to get it working first. Early 2s used power logic for the new bus controller. There you go. Okay. I don't like leaky caps. No, I've actually got axial caps that are axial electrolytics. I've never had any of those leak ever. Axial. Yeah, there's all the axial caps up there. All right, let's stick a tant on here. 10 microfarad, 16 volt. Because that's what people are asking for. I mean, yeah. It's, yeah. I mean, yeah. Right. Let's zip them across. I saw someone doing a little post on Facebook group the other day who did some recapping, and they said, oh, I've recapped it all and it doesn't work. I've lined up the stripe on the tantalum in the same way the stripe on the electrolytic was going, and it's like, we know what that's all about. For some unknown reason, the stripe is on the different side with tantalum caps. The stripe is on the positive side for tantalums, the stripe is on the negative side for electrolytics. Let's just get this old solder off. Sorry, my soldering iron went to sleep. Wakey, wakey. There we go. Oh, that's right. This still got the pin in there. I think I've still got the pin in there. I think I had a problem with it. Couldn't get it out. Yep, so we'll take that out. Flip it over to the other side. Going to flip him. Flip him. Where are you, you little bastard? I saw it a second ago. There it is. Right there. Right there. Okay, so let's just get some heat on that, and then we should be able to convince this little bit of pin to come out. Out! Anyone here seen Terminator Dark Fate? What a piece of poo that was. Oh God, this has been such a douche. Come here. Come on, man. There we go. Got him. SEX. Yeah, so the Terminator Dark Fate, the big issue I had with it was working Arnold Schwarzenegger into the story. That I just didn't like that at all. I had no objection to him being in it, but I didn't like the way he was written into the story. Simple as that. And I tell you what, can't half tell that, what's her name? Sarah Connor, the actress whose name I can't remember. Can't half tell she's a smoker. Her skin is terrible. And there it is, the first cap on the board. Yay! A Man Called Otto. It wasn't a bad film. Cool. That's not exactly glowing, but yeah. Oh, Prometheus and Alien Covenant. Yeah, Prometheus was borderline unwatchable. That should have been good. They should have been able to make a good movie. Just not bad story. I don't know. I didn't mind the third Alien movie, the one on the prison planet. That had some good things about it. It's not a great film, but it is watchable. Sorry, I just realised I haven't cleaned up one of the old caps here. And my microscope's making noise, making farty noises. Now this is the one where I generally recommend you stick something a little bit more than 16 volt on here. But I don't think I have the option to do that because the only thing that I've got that's over 16 volts I think is electrolytic. Well, there's probably nothing wrong with sticking electrolytic on here, to be honest. Let's have a look. What have we got? A surface mount electrolytic. Hello there. What have I got? I've got 47, 16, nope. 47, 16, nope. Nope. What about in my Amiga pile? I've got a few little... Yeah. Here we go. What have I got? 47, 35. None left. All right. Well, that's that then. Putting on a 16 volt. Cannot be helped. We can do naught about it. Oh, thank you very much, Joe. Very nice of you to say that. One of the disappointing things about the last live stream I did was, of course, I didn't get to finish it. There was just too much to do. Whereas this one, there's one. I should get to finish this. Don't know if it's going to work. I should get to finish it. All of my SCSI emulators are upstairs. So I will have to, when we actually go to test it, if I'm going to fire it up, I'll need to duck upstairs and grab it. I just realised it when I came and sat here. They were all down here before, and then I grabbed them all and took them upstairs for some reason. Don't know why. I took them all upstairs, and that's where they all are now. Righty. I tell you, a show that Dana in particular, Dana in the chat here, absolutely loves. He loves that Star Trek spin-off Picard. He was a huge fan of that. He was just telling me how much he loved that show, Picard. Get ready for Dana to go ballistic. Yeah, Dana really did not like Picard. How many of us got? One. There's one. Let's count them again. One. And then we need a total of, okay, so I need 12. 4, 6. That's a lot of cats. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Incidentally, this board is a customer's board. It's not mine. I do sometimes work on my own boards. This is a customer's board, and I am doing this work on this board as a contra deal, which is something that I do quite regularly with customers. I will often trade my recapping services for stuff. And in the instance of this one, I am trading the recapping on this for 2 new bus display cards and 1 battery bombed SE30 board. It is my belief that the SE30 board can be repaired, but I do need to buy some parts for it. And the 2 new bus cards work. I have already tried them. One is an E-Machines, one is a Rasterops. And I'm quite pleased with the Rasterops one because it outputs a signal that my screen capture thingy likes. So I can one day do a video on the 2CI, which I have been meaning to do for a long time, because I love the 2CI. And I also have a radius rocket in my 2CI, which accelerates it up to a 68040, and I like that too. Boop. Boop. Talking of screen captures, I finally have something that works properly on lots of things now. Yeah, I need to get one of those. They're so expensive because I never seen them for sale here, so I have to buy them from the States. So I have to buy them in US dollars and then have to get them shipped here as well. And that's pricey. And because I just spent a huge wad of money on a thing from Germany. And so that's my spending. Not to mention I spent a truckload of money on my ultrasonic cleaner. I mean, that I'll get some return from because I'll get some advertising revenue from that. Ba-doop, ba-doop, ba-doop. So anyone, if they're just joined, just I am working on a Macintosh II here. The cool thing about the Macintosh II, it was Apple's first modular computer. Well, I shouldn't say that. The Apple II was probably Apple's first modular computer, but this is the first modular Macintosh. Up until this point, they were compact Macs, they were black and white, and this time they built something that was designed more for businessy type people. How much did my latest ultrasonic cleaner cost in total? I haven't tallied it up yet. I really should, but I haven't. So, yeah. Right, shall we do the 3? I shouldn't. Yeah, I'm gonna hate this big board. It doesn't fit very well on my table. Let's do the 3. 1, 2, 3. God, something big just landed on the roof of my shed then. Scared the bejesus out of me. Probably a raven, something like that. They're a big heavy bird. There were aspects of Picard that I really liked. There really were, but I had issues with some stuff. And that Australian kid, was it Australian or New Zealand? I'm not sure, but anyhow, there was a young guy in it, and he can't act. I like to try and get these as straight as I can, because there's 3 of them. If you don't line them all up, it really sticks out. Too far. I can see a lot more in my viewfinder than gets captured by the camera, so there are often times where I just I'm working away here and then I look up and I realise that you can't see a single thing that I've been doing. And for that, I apologise. Apologise for my bellicocious behaviour. Boop, 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 boo. Oops. I lost my flux. Come on. Didn't clean this one well enough by the looks of it. Having trouble getting solder to stick to it. Anyhow, that'll do. Yeah. I just finished watching Yellowstone. I don't mind that, except that so many of the characters are assholes. I'm starting to get a bit hungry, I must confess. I did have some toast for breakfast, but it's definitely heading towards lunchtime now. And I have to figure out what I'm going to do for dinner. Am I going to cook something? I should cook something. What will I cook today? Joe, hello. Jeremy, hello. For the adult language section of the video. Oh yes, we always like to keep it pretty fucking PG around here. Oh, okay, there's another cap up here. Might have to do some UV mask for this one. I should be actually. Hang on. What? Huh? What? What? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I probably need to do a little bit of little mask on the other ones. This one I think is okay. I'll be able to just position this cap away. Pizza and wings because America, yum. Yes, I would like to thank America for hamburgers and V8 engines. The thing that always gets me with the, sort of differences like with America and stuff like that, different way of doing things and that, is the fact that unless it's, what, beef, it's a sandwich, it's not a burger. So you don't have a chicken burger, you have a chicken sandwich. Over here, if it's in between burger buns, if it's between the buns, it's a burger. Unless it's bacon and egg, then it's a bacon and egg roll. Both. I want to eat. I need to eat a V8 and drive a hamburger. I'm not at the best angle for this one. Got a bit of a sore throat. I hope I haven't got COVID. Again. Is that crooked? Does that look crooked to you? It looks crooked to me. There we go. Cattle industry is huge in Australia. Yes, it is indeed. I'll tell you another meat that I love is lamb. I know it's terrible because they're cute little things, but I love lamb. Australia does really good lamb. Right, so I'm going to use some UV mask here. I just want to paint out this before I put caps on it, just to be safe. You know me, I'm safe. Get some flux cleaner and put a little squirt on there. Squirter in there. And of course another food which Kai would know about, but the Americans not so much, is a kebab. A nice greasy kebab. I think they call them something else in the US. I'm not sure what they call them, but I thought it was shawarma, but I could be wrong. But the old kebab, that is one of my favourite things to eat. It has meat on it, nondescript meat on it. Could be anything. It's spelt K-E-B-A-B, kebab, but Australians say kebab, kebab. Doner kebab, yum, 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 yum. Right, time to paint on some UV solder mask. Now that was what I was doing there, is cleaning it, because this UV mask needs to be painted onto clean. If you paint it onto stuff that's got flux all over it, it ain't going to stick. And this is just a little precaution to make sure we don't create any accidental shorts. It's a bit of a tradition around here, by the way, just chatting about the doner kebab is a bit of a tradition to eat those late at night when you're drunk. Because there are a lot of kebab places that are open very late. So yeah, go out and you do your drinking at the bar, at the pub, and then you grab a nice big greasy kebab on the way home. Yum. Okay, now we need to use the laser so that we can cure this UV mask, UV solder mask. So the UV solder mask is responds to UV light, and so I have here a UV laser. And I have a couple of different ways of drying this. You can dry the UV mask just by sticking it in the sun, if it's a nice sunny day like it is today. You can use a UV lamp. I have a UV lamp over here as well. Or for little spot jobs like this, if I'm having to paint on huge amounts, I use the sun or I use a UV lamp. For just a little spot UV like this, I will just use this laser. Does it quite quickly. Usually only takes a few seconds, maybe a minute, to get it all cured. Goes from being wet to being solid. Isn't that nice? Tabbouleh, mate. I love tabbouleh. Actually, in all honesty, I don't love all tabbouleh. I like tabbouleh when it's got lots of tomato in it. If it's some of them that just stick at the ratio of parsley, it's just way too much parsley taste. God, everyone's making me freaking hungry. Freaking hungry. What did I do with my scalpel? It's over here. It's okay. I was going to have to get angry there for a second, but it's all good. Oops, that's got moist. It's moist. Don't want moist. Excuse me. I just wanted to just quickly demonstrate that this is now a solid stuff. It's not a wet stuff anymore. Well, I didn't demonstrate it well. How about there? There we go. See? It's solid. Right, now let's get some caps on here. Moist. Oh dear. I wonder if anyone's done their thesis on why people hate the word so much. Doctoral thesis. Watched a movie last night which I've seen before several times and cannot rate it highly enough. I think it's a brilliant film. Is Baby Driver. I don't know if anyone else has seen it or if they've seen it and enjoyed it, but I just think that is such an amazingly clever film. The way that they work music into the story and the way things happen on the beat and stuff in the movie, it's just really, really interesting and clever and very exciting as well. Back in the days when people used to give Kevin Spacey work. New ultrasonic modeling thing you made for a second just to see what it felt like? No, no, Rob, I would absolutely not do that. One of the things with an ultrasonic is the cavitation process, which is the exploding of the little bubbles, or I should say collapsing of the little bubbles. It happens wherever the sound is passing. So if the sound can pass through your body, the moisture inside it can end up actually having cavitation occur. So it is really not recommended to put yourself, your arms, your legs, your hands, whatever, into it. I have occasionally just put the tip of my finger in just to see what it feels like, but yeah, it's, and it's apparently bad for your bones, someone said to me. Don't know if that's true, I haven't researched it, but that's just what someone said. And I believe everything that people tell me. Right, I feel like I'm missing some. Oh, here's one. I haven't even cleaned it. Oh, my goodness, it's terrible. Look at that. Look at that. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to reach this one. Can I reach this one? Yep, I can, just. Haven't cleaned this one. Missed a step. Yep, driving sequences are excellent in that film. So, yeah, if you haven't seen Baby Driver, I'd recommend checking it out. Good film. And the kid in it is awesome. He's apparently in the new West Side Story movie, which I have not seen. But he was very good. The one that played the part of Baby. And do 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 do. I can't. I'm not sure. This is either the last cap or the second last cap. I'll have to check my capacitor guide and confirm. Still going, yep. Excuse me. I haven't exactly been doing it swiftly, but having said that, there's a lot of corrosion on this thing. There's like a flux on this, and I didn't actually stick a cap on there. Because I am stupid, oh yeah? Got distracted by something. An interesting comment in the chat or something like that. I have the air conditioner going in here at the moment, although it's not actually that warm here, about 25 degrees C outside. It does get a little bit toasty in this office when the sun hits the roof. Of course, it is metal. And there's no insulation in here whatsoever. And I've actually got the door wide open, so I'm apparently trying to air condition in the entire planet. Not sure how successful I'll be at that though. Right, I think that's it. Let's just do a quick little stock take. We'll change views here. Top view. Okay. Zip. So we've got one there, one there, one there, one there, one there, two there, one there, one there, one there, three there, three there, one there. That's it. That's it. We can test it now. Are we excited? I'm excited. So, in order to test this, I need this facing that way for starters. We're going to have to put some RAM in there. Black Betty Ram-a-lam. This is actually, I believe, from this computer. So let's get a few of these little RAM sticks, the old firmware design RAM sticks. I'm only going to stick 4 in it to start off with. We do actually have 8 sims here, but we'll just start with 4. If you're only going to put 4 in, you need bank A to be populated. There's bank A here and bank B. So I'll put some RAM into the old bank A, like Voss. Got to find my speaker as well. I had a speaker in it. It fell down. It fell down there, and then it just disappeared. I have not seen it since. I don't know where it went. I mean, I heard it fall down. It went blump. It went blump, and then it's gone. It's just disappeared. It fell into the void. So I'm not sure where it is, but I think I've got another speaker I can possibly use. Okay, 4 megabytes of RAM in there. No onboard video, so we're going to have to stick a display card in here. So, I have myself here a little E-machines. Just plop that into that one there, like that. Speaker, so we can hear whether it chimes. Here we go, there's a nice little, looks like a 2CI speaker, I think. That ought to do us. 32 ohms. Pop that there. It's not the right impedance, but it'll still make a noise. And then we need to plug in some power. Actually, I'm going to move this because that's going to get in the way of the power. Now I need to find my power supply. Where's my power supply? Sorry about all the wind noise here. Which one is this? This is the one. I found the right one. Straight off the bat. It's going to be a good day. Going to get a display. Or as Tim Cook says, display. Display is what Tim Cook says. Found another set of Apple brand 256K sims that are dead. Oh, never known. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, the RAM goes on the old Apples and the 512K and the 128K. So I guess, yeah, it can happen. All right, so this one goes to here. The hip bone connects to the thigh bone, like that. We'll plonk this here so that you guys can see whether it switches on, whether we get some video. I'm really anticipating it's going to work here, aren't I? I went to all this lengths. So confident, yes. So this power supply that I've got here, and I mentioned it before, it's an ATX power supply, and I have modified it. Well, I have modified this setup here so that it bypasses the soft power on circuit. That's very handy because sometimes you get a computer that's dead and you think, okay, well, is it dead because of the soft power on circuit or is it dead because of something else? And this allows me to immediately eliminate that. So the first thing I'm able to do is check and see if it starts up bypassing the soft power circuit. Then if it works when I bypass it and it doesn't work when I don't, I know it's a problem with the soft power circuit. Simple as that. Now, I am keeping in this cable here 235-ish volts of the finest Australian AC electricity. When I plug this in, it's just going to start up because there's no switch on this power supply, which is a bit annoying. So I'm just going to start it, switch it on, and something may or may not happen. Sometimes things blow up. We'll just see. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay, well, we got we got the power supply is working, which means it should be feeding electricity into this. We didn't get a chime. I'm going to have to stick my ear to the speaker and press the reset button. We're not getting any video, so let me just let that hang there for a bit. Excuse me. So I'm going to just... It seems pretty dead. Which makes me feel like I've forgotten something. Because when it's like completely dead like this, it's usually because I've forgotten something. I don't know, does this speaker even work? What about this speaker? Let's try this speaker. Just I normally get like a crackle or something. This is a great speaker. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I can hear a pop in this one. This speaker might be rooted, so we'll just get rid of that. Cactus. So when I press the button, I get this ever so subtle pop. Might even be able to hear it if I do this. Where's the microphone? There's the microphone. Don't know if you can hear that. Which tells me that there's power running through there, but we're having an issue. Now, can anyone tell me what the next thing I will do with this board will be? Because often when I do a recap on something, this is all it takes to make it work. It does not need batteries for what I'm doing at the moment. I'm bypassing the need for a battery. What I'm going to do just very quickly here, try and do this without blowing a fuse, is I am going to quickly check and see that we're getting voltage through to the hard drive connector. Could be 5 volts. Interesting. Getting nothing on the 12 volt rail, but I am getting on the 5 volt rail. That's really curious. Nothing on the 12 volt rail. Now, does that mean that I have done something? Now, let me just park this somewhere. I've got a bit of a space issue here at the moment. You go there, you go there. Okay, you go there. So just check and make sure that these wires aren't getting yanked. So we'll see if we're getting 12 volts going into it first. That's all my negatives there. So that's a... Whoopsie. 5. 12, okay. Well, 12 volts is going in. So that's something. And then let's just check this again. Oh, I just don't want to touch these together because, yeah, 12. Okay, I was just yanking the cable, so that's that. So we are getting power running through it. Just to see if anyone here, check your work, Ultrasonic. Joe's got it. Check your work is, of course, really what I should do, and I will. I'm going to check my work, but ultimately the next step for this will be to chuck it into the ultrasonic cleaner because it's got gunk all over it. And the Mac II in particular, I have found with most of the Mac IIs that I work on, that after I have done the recapping, I then need to ultrasonically clean them to get any life from them. So I'm going to say there's probably about a 75% chance. I just made that number up. I mean, really, there's no scientific method with that. But I'm going to say there's about a 75% chance that after ultrasonic cleaning, this one will come good. So just checking some polarities here. You know, I don't know if you've noticed, but reversing the polarity of things doesn't work the way it does in Doctor Who. I don't know if you've ever watched any old Doctor Who's, but you know, good old John Pertwee, he solved a lot of problems by reversing the polarity. But you'll find that if you're doing that in electronics, like you put the cap on backwards and stuff like that, it doesn't have the same effect as it does on, say, a sonic screwdriver, for example. As John Pertwee used to say, I'll try to reverse the polarity. Not a very good impression. There are fuses here, by the way. There's a fuse here and a fuse here, but these fuses aren't really part of the main workings of the thing. You've got a fuse here, which I think is associated with the ADB port, and then there's a fuse here, which I think is associated with the SCSI port. So, for example, if I wasn't getting SCSI, then I'd say, oh, maybe the fuse is gone. But with something that's not starting up, I really wouldn't blame the fuse. We've got to reverse the polarity, Brigadier. Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart. The funny thing is that actor, his name's Nicholas Courtney, who played the part of the Brigadier in the old Doctor Who series, that was his nickname, the Brig. That was what people called him outside of work. He was the Brig, because he was so well known for that role. I need to check on my messages. My name has been mentioned. But having said that, my name often gets mentioned out of context within our little Mac-Yak group. We have a little Mac-Yak chat group, and it's been this way for quite some time now, that when something goes wrong, the commonly used expletive is, God damn it, Bruce. I think it basically happened because I was one of the newest members of that group. And so when I joined that group, everyone was just blaming me for things when I first joined in there. It was all good fun, of course, all good fun. Yes, Jay started it. Okay, I've just cleaned this up a little bit just around the caps with a toothbrush. It's not the same as ultrasonically cleaning, of course. But I just thought we'll do that. We'll just give it a try and see what happens. Probably won't work, but no harm. And then I will actually do it properly. I will stick it in the ultrasonic cleaner, the one behind me here. This one here, with Steve Ballmer's face on it. And then I'll try it out. And of course, that won't be something that I can do in this live stream because it's too noisy. This one here is so loud that I can't even hear myself think when it's going. I will then post the results on my Facebook page. So if you have not followed my Brankus Creations Facebook page, I would recommend you go in and do that, because that is usually where I post my follow-ups and stuff and things and stuff. All right, so let's plug in the speaker. I'm not going to bother with the display card or anything like that, because we're not even getting it shine. Bother about that afterwards. And then I'm just going to power this up and we'll see what happens. So okay. That could have chimed, you know, because this speaker is so freaking quiet. No. Look, there are a few things that I do know about it. The reset button is working, because when I press it, I hear this go pop. So that does tell me quite a lot about what's going on here. We do know that the reset is working, because sometimes one of the things that can happen when these don't work is the reset can be stuck on. And so your computer is in a permanent state of reset. It's definitely not the case with this one, because I can actually hear that pop on the speaker. So that is something. But it will need an ultrasonic clean, and then I will post the follow-up on my Facebook page. That will be the plan. But at this stage, I think I will probably wrap things up. It is 10 past 2. I am definitely a little on the hungry side. I will just do my normal chatting nonsense in the meantime. So when I put this in the ultrasonic cleaner, by the way, I do generally remove these socketed chips. And the reason I do that is so that the water can get right inside the little holes, and then the cavitation can do its magic in there, so that it'll sort of clean out those sockets. So I will generally remove, I'll probably remove the ROMs. Sometimes I just leave them in because I'm lazy, but I'll probably remove the ROMs. That's the PMMU, Page Memory Management Unit. That's the 68020 CPU. That's the 68881 floating point unit. And then we've got these two guys here. One is the Incredible Wozniak machine, isn't that it? No, something Wozniak machine, IWM. And then that's the Apple sound chip, which interestingly enough, these are sound chips over here. So that's obviously another part of the sound chip. I've talked about this before. The Apple II, the Mac II has had an option for a ROM upgrade where you could actually take these from an 800K floppy drive up to a 1.4. This one does not have the ROM upgrade. In order to do the ROM upgrade, you need to replace these 4 ROM chips. I think it's all 4. And the IWM gets replaced as well, the Wozniak machine. So, and as I say, I do actually have that upgrade on my Mac II. And I'm very, very happy about that because it's quite rare to find one that has had it done. But, yeah. May take your latest ultrasonic cleaner video and adapt it to a double basin kitchen sink. Yeah. I mean, you know, as I would say with everyone, make sure you okay these sorts of things with your better half. When I told my wife that I was going to turn our laundry sink into an ultrasonic cleaner, she's just like, don't. It's like, it's happening, okay? It's happening, and it's going to be a good thing. I don't know if she'll ever believe me, but yeah. Making a hot tub edition. Yeah, so, hello, Thomas. Oh, no, Thomas, thank you for joining. Will the ultrasonic bomber be scrapped now? Oh, no, this is still a really good thing. So this one is probably going to continue to need maintenance because not all of the transducers are stuck on underneath properly. You know, they've just only been glued, they haven't been bolted on there. So I'm not going to pull them all off unless they fall off. So I'll be basically just keeping an eye on them. I have a fail-safe system in place so that if anything gets too hot, it automatically switches off. So it's not likely to fry the boards like it used to. Yeah, so I really should make this more modular like I did with the newer one. Do some better wiring and shit. But anyhow, this one is still a really, really important thing. And of course, the other thing is this has, permanently got the PCB cleaning liquid in there. The laundry tubs, I'm going to just be using tap water, and for that, tap water maybe with whatever detergent that I plan to use. Might be dish detergent, or it might be clothes detergent or something like that. That I'll be cleaning other things, more hardware-y type things. As I say, I haven't even put in a PCB into this one yet. I want to put in something I don't care about because there is always the danger that it's going to cook it. Okay. Clutch 03, thanks Breakfast Creation for your videos. Because of your channel, I was armed with the knowledge on how to repair my friend's game console that died a few years back. That is excellent to hear. I really like to hear things like that. I do try and basically share whatever knowledge I have. To be honest with it, when it comes to electronics and stuff like that, my knowledge you could fit on the head of a pin. There are people out there way, way, way smarter than me, which is why I love having these live streams, because I can then just ask questions and people like Joe answer them, or Kai, and it makes me look smart, even though they're doing all the hard work. But I love my soldering. I really enjoy it. It's a funny thing, when I did this ultrasonic cleaner video, I had some people saying, oh, instead of soldering wires to those transducers, you could, use little clamp things, or do a spot weld, or just talk all these things. And I'm sort of like, all the lovely advice, but I bloody love soldering, so I'm going to be soldering it. So that's just how it is with me. I have to solder. I solder, therefore I am. Okay. Poor man's Ultrasonic cooked the board with a sous vide machine. It's interesting. I am probably going to end up buying a sous vide heater, because they have thermostatic control on them, and they are designed for heating bodies of water. And so I may end up getting one of those for this. The other one's okay, because I can just run hot water out of the tap and force it straight into it. So I'm really not concerned about that. But this one here, I would like to have a heater in there. And of course, I've got my little control panel, my little Arduino control panel, which is up here somewhere, that I still haven't put in a case. I must do that one day. And this guy here, I can always set this up to have a thermostatic control in it as well. So speaking of which, did it? Well, no. All right, so I think I'm going to wrap things up now, and then I'm going to start getting this thing hot, get ready to chuck this board in there, get it all clean, and hopefully get it all working. You can afford a sous vide machine. Well, you can actually buy a sous vide, a thing to turn any body of water into a sous vide. So, because you can actually buy sous vide machines specifically, but this is something that you can actually just, it's like a heater. It's just a heater with a thermostat, really. Thank you, Jack60OK. Alrighty, everyone, I would like to wrap this up now, so I'm going to say thank you to everyone for watching. Thank you for joining me. I do appreciate it. Thanks for keeping me company while I do this repetitious and tedious work, and keeping the chat lively and all those sorts of things. And thank you for subscribing and all that sort of stuff. If this is the first time watching one of my live streams, thank you very much for joining. Yeah, I hope you all have good afternoon, evening, morning, whatever it happens to be in your part of the world. And I will, as I say, keep an eye out for the update of this on the Facebook page, and I will hopefully see you at my next live stream. So, hang on, got to find the button. There we go. Bye, everyone.